Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's morning briefing.
3 Israelis have been killed and another seriously injured in a shocking terror attack near Jerusalem. The incident took place near the Har Adar settlement early this morning. According to police, the terrorist opened fire on a group of Israeli security officers at the back entrance of the settlement as they were opening up the rear path for Palestinian workers. The assailant has been now identified as a 37-year-old from the nearby Palestinian village of Beit Zurik, and he aroused the suspicion of officers on the scene when he approached the settlement at 7 a.m. and managed to kill 3 people with a pistol before he was gunned down in response. Police say the terrorist was holding a work permit that allows him to work inside Israeli settlements. This makes him one of the few Palestinians to commit a terror attack recently with such a document in hand. The 3 murdered victims are all in their 20s, but their identities have not yet been released. Medics claim the 4th victim with serious injuries is about 32 years old and was taken to the Jerusalem hospital with a gunshot wound to the stomach. He was reportedly fully conscious when he went into surgery at the facility. The Hamas terrorist organization has already praised the attack, claiming it proves that Jerusalem is at the heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, while Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already called on President Abbas in the PA to condemn the heinous attack. The settlement of Har Adar is located just inside the West Bank and slightly off the main highway leading into Jerusalem from Tel Aviv. Amjad Hamid, one of 3 Palestinian terrorists who committed a drive-by shooting attack in the West Bank in 2015, has just been sentenced to life in prison and fined 350,000 shekels in compensation. The attack resulted in the death of young Malachi Rosenfeld and the injuring of his 3 friends who were with him during the attack. The 4 young men were traveling through the West Bank near Route 60 when they were attacked. All 4 live in the West Bank settlement of Kochav HaShachar. Last January, another member of the 3 terrorists was also sentenced to life plus 30 years in prison and fined 325,000 shekels in compensation as well. The 3rd terrorist, who is also unnamed at the moment, is still in trial in the Israeli military courts. 2 more small I.D.F Skylark drones crashed in the West Bank yesterday, the latest in a series of yet unexplained crashes that brings the total to at least 8 this year. The hand-launched UAVs this time fell in Hebron and Bethlehem. Both have already been recovered. As with most things, there is good news and bad. The good news is that at least no intelligence was at risk and apparently couldn't have been taken from the drones anyway. But the bad news is that the military still has no real explanation for the crashes. The Skylark, developed by Elbit Systems, is a miniature UAV that operates as a tactical surveillance tool for the I.D.F's artillery corps. Since January, Skylarks have crashed at least 7 times. The Army spokesperson said it was already investigating the most recent incident. It seems that disabled protesters aren't the only ones blocking the highways of Tel Aviv anymore, as the elderly parents and families of allegedly kidnapped Yemenite children took to the streets on Monday. The several hundred marchers, which included several Knesset members, were demanding official government recognition of the kidnappings that occurred nearly 70 years ago, while chanting recognition, healing, justice. Since the 1950s, over 1,000 primarily Yemenite families have made allegations against the Israeli government for having kidnapped their children from Israeli hospitals and putting them up for adoption. The Israeli government has already declassified 400,000 documents related to this case, but the fight seems far from over. The government has issued 3 different state commissions to try to put the issue to rest, most often coming to the conclusion that the children had died. But parents and families aren't buying it for a minute, since bodies weren't returned, burial places weren't disclosed, death certificates were filled with mistakes, military draft notices were filed 18 years after children had supposedly died, and DNA testing has proven that at least some families' allegations were true. It seems the next move is indeed in the hands of the government to prove that it's done everything in its power to disclose what really happened to all those children all those years ago. British boy band Take That is reunited again, and this November they'll be coming to Israel to perform. Originally a 5-piece group modeled after the New Kids on the Block, Take That, which blew up in the early 1990s, will be performing most of the group's greatest hits like It Only Takes a Minute, I Found Heaven, and A Million Love Songs, as well as their new songs from their latest album Wonderland, which came out in March of 2016. 3 of the original members, Gary Barlow, Howard Donald, and Mark Owen, will be the ones lighting up the stage in Tel Aviv's Menorah Mivdachim Arena on November 27th. The band enjoyed dozens of top 40 hits and #1 albums, and although splitting up and reuniting several times, the members and their music still have a solid and dedicated fanbase. In fact, critically acclaimed musician Robbie Williams got his start with Take That, and was one of the original 5 too, but left shortly after joining due to drug abuse. He rejoined in 2010 after his successful solo career took off, but has left and reunited several times over the past few years as well.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.